I stood in the doorway of my own living room while my daughter-in-law smiled at me. Not the warm kind of smile. The kind that says she already won. She told me I had 1 hour to pack my things and leave. My home. The house I built with my own 2 hands 43 years ago. But here's what she didn't know. The second I walked out that door, her entire world was about to collapse. And she put the match in my hand herself. Before we continue, please drop a comment if you've ever experienced something like this. We'd love to hear your story and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. Let me take you back 6 months. That's when everything started falling apart. My wife, Eleanor, died on a Tuesday morning in March. 50 years of marriage gone in a heartbeat. The funeral was beautiful. My son Daniel cried on my shoulder. His wife Victoria held his hand and whispered comforting words. She even helped me pick out Eleanor's dress. I thought she was an angel. I was 68 years old and completely alone for the first time in my adult life. The house felt empty without Eleanor's humming in the kitchen, without her reading glasses on every surface, without her telling me to take my shoes off at the door. Daniel and Victoria started visiting more often. At first, I appreciated it. They'd bring dinner. We'd talk about Eleanor. Victoria would clean up while Daniel and I sat on the porch. She seemed to genuinely care. "Dad, you shouldn't be alone so much," Daniel said one evening. "Why don't you let me handle some of the bills? Take some weight off your shoulders." It seemed reasonable. I was grieving, making mistakes, forgot to pay the electric bill twice. So I said yes. I signed some papers giving Daniel access to my accounts, just to help out. That's when Victoria's smile started changing. She stopped asking how I was doing, started asking about property values instead, about my investments, about whether I'd updated my will recently. "Eleanor would want you to make sure everything's in order," she'd say, touching my arm with fake concern. My granddaughter Sophie noticed before I did. She was 12 years old and sharper than most adults I knew. One Sunday dinner, Victoria was going through papers at my desk. Sophie watched her with narrow eyes. "Grandpa, can I stay over tonight?" Sophie asked me later in the kitchen. "School night, sweetheart. Your mum won't like that. Please." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Something's wrong with Dad and Victoria. I don't want to go home yet." I let her stay. That night, I couldn't sleep. I walked past the guest room and saw light under the door. Sophie was awake too. When I knocked, she opened it quickly. "Grandpa, I need to tell you something." She pulled out her phone, showed me a photo she'd taken of Victoria's planner. There were dates circled, notes in Victoria's handwriting. "Property transfer deadline. Life insurance payout confirmed. Lawyer appointment. Trust dissolution." My blood went cold. "I took this picture last week," Sophie said. "I didn't understand it then. But Grandpa, why would she need to see a lawyer about your trust?" I sat down on the bed. My hands were shaking. "I don't know, honey." But I was starting to figure it out. The next morning I called my lawyer. Old friend named Tom Chen. Wait, no. That's a band name. Let me call him Tom Bradford. We'd gone to high school together. "Tom, I need you to pull up every document I've signed in the last 6 months." There was a long pause on the phone. "Frank, I was hoping you'd call. There's something you need to see." I drove to his office. Tom spread papers across his desk. Power of attorney, updated will, property transfer documents, financial account access forms, all with my signature. "When did you sign these?" Tom asked. "I signed the account access form. That's it. Nothing else." Tom pointed to the dates. All of them were from the last 4 months, after Eleanor died, when I was barely functional with grief. "Frank, according to these documents, you've transferred 70% of your assets into a joint trust with Daniel. Victoria is listed as the secondary beneficiary. If anything happens to you, or if you're declared incompetent, she gets full control. The room started spinning. I never signed these. The signatures match perfectly. Either you did this and don't remember, or someone forged them. Tom nodded slowly. I compared them to your recent signatures. They're too perfect, Frank. When people sign documents, there's natural variation. These are identical, like someone traced them. I thought about all those evenings. Victoria cleaning up. Me dozing off in my chair. The prescription sleep medication she'd suggested to my doctor. For his grief and insomnia, she'd said. How many times had I woken up groggy, not remembering going to bed? There's more, Tom said. He pulled out another folder. Eleanor came to see me 2 weeks before she died. My heart stopped. She what? She was concerned about Victoria, asked me to investigate her background. Frank, I'm sorry I didn't bring this to you sooner. I thought Eleanor was being paranoid. I thought I had more time to verify everything before bothering you with it. He opened the folder. Inside were printouts, news articles, court records, photos of a woman who looked exactly like Victoria, but with different names. Rachel Morrison in Ohio, Jennifer Caldwell in Michigan, Margaret Price in Tennessee. Wait, those are band names. Let me revise. Catherine Morrison in Ohio, Natalie Caldwell in Michigan, Helen Price in Tennessee. All married to older men. All of those men died within 2 years of marriage. All of them signed over their assets right before their deaths. Eleanor found this. My voice cracked. She hired a private investigator. Paid out of her own account so you wouldn't see it. She was building a case, Frank. She knew something was wrong with Victoria from the beginning. But that wasn't even the worst part. Tom pulled out one more document. A handwritten letter. Eleanor's writing. She left this for you. Instructions to give it to you only if something happened to her. I opened the letter with trembling hands. My dearest Frank, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm so sorry to leave you alone. But I need you to know the truth about Victoria. She's not who she says she is. I've spent the last year investigating her, and what I found terrifies me. She's done this before, multiple times. She finds wealthy older men, marries into their families, and systematically takes everything. I've left evidence with Tom. Bank statements proving she's been stealing from us. Background checks showing her real identity. Proof that she's wanted in 3 states for fraud and elder abuse. I was going to expose her next week. I had a meeting with the police scheduled. But Frank, I'm scared. She knows I'm onto her. She's been watching me, following me. If something happens to me before I can stop her, please know it wasn't an accident. Please protect our son. Protect yourself. And whatever you do, don't let her win. I love you forever, Eleanor. The letter was dated March 10th. Eleanor died March 14th. The police said it was a heart attack, natural causes. But Eleanor's heart was strong. She'd just had a full physical 2 months before. Clean bill of health. I looked up at Tom. You think Victoria killed her? He didn't answer directly. I think Eleanor was afraid. I think she knew something we didn't. And I think we need to be very careful about what we do next. I stood up. My grief was transforming into something else. Something cold and focused. I want copies of everything, every document, every piece of evidence Eleanor collected. All of it. Frank, what are you going to do? I'm going to protect my son, even if he doesn't know he needs protecting yet. I drove home. Victoria's car was in my driveway. She was inside my house, probably going through more papers, planning her next move. Sophie was sitting on the porch steps waiting for me. Grandpa, Dad and Victoria are fighting inside. She's yelling about money, about you changing your mind about something. I walked into my own home. Victoria stood in my living room. Her smile was gone. In its place was something sharp and angry. "Where were you?" she demanded. "Last time I checked, I don't answer to you in my own house." "Your house?" She laughed. "Frank, honey, you really should read documents before you sign them. This is Daniel's house now." "Well, it will be soon enough." Daniel stood behind her, looking uncomfortable. "Dad, Victoria's just worried about your finances. We all are." "Is that what she told you?" "Frank, I think you're getting confused," Victoria said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "It happens at your age. That's why you need us to help manage things. Why you signed everything over to Daniel. Remember?" I looked at my son, really looked at him. He believed her. Every word. "Daniel, I need to talk to you. Alone." "Anything you say to him, you can say in front of me," Victoria snapped. "I'm his wife, and I'm his father." We stared at each other. This was the moment. The point where everything would either break or bend. Victoria's expression shifted. Her eyes went cold. "Fine, Daniel, let's go. Your father obviously needs some space to think about how much he needs our help." They headed for the door. Daniel looked back at me, confused and hurt. That's when Victoria stopped, turned around, and smiled that terrible smile again. "Oh, and Frank, I've scheduled a competency evaluation for you next week. Given your recent confusion, memory problems, and erratic behavior, I think it's necessary. For your own safety, of course." My blood turned to ice. "You can't do that." "I can, actually. Daniel signed the papers this morning. As your power of attorney, he has the right to make sure you're mentally fit. And when you're declared incompetent, which you will be, all those assets transfer immediately. This house, your investments, everything." She stepped closer. "You won't last a week without us, Frank. You're a confused old man who can't even remember what he signed. The courts will see that. Everyone will see that." Daniel looked uncomfortable but didn't stop her. "Victoria, maybe that's a bit harsh." "Harsh?" She whirled on him. "Your father is losing his mind, Daniel. He needs professional care. We're helping him." She turned back to me. "You have until Friday to pack your things. We're moving in this weekend. The house needs work, and I can't do that with you wandering around confused. There's a lovely assisted living facility that has an opening. Very affordable. Get out of my house. It's not your house anymore, Frank. Try to keep up." They left. Sophie came out from where she'd been hiding in the kitchen. "Grandpa, what are we going to do?" I looked down at my granddaughter, at her fierce, loyal eyes, at the phone in her hand that probably had recordings of everything Victoria just said. I smiled for the first time in 6 months. "Sweetheart, we're going to do exactly what she wants." "What?" "I'm going to pack my things. I'm going to leave. And then we're going to watch her entire world burn down around her." Because here's what Victoria didn't understand. I wasn't a confused old man. I was a retired civil engineer who'd spent 40 years building things, and I knew exactly how to make them fall. Eleanor had left me the matches. Now I just had to light the fire. I packed my bags on Thursday morning. Slowly, like a defeated old man who'd lost everything. Victoria watched from the doorway of my bedroom with her arms crossed and that victory smile plastered on her face. She thought she'd won. But what she didn't know was that every item I put in those suitcases was part of a plan my dead wife had written out for me step by step. And Victoria had just walked right into the trap. I took my time, folded my clothes carefully, packed Eleanor's photo albums, made a show of being confused about which drawer held my socks. Victoria ate it up. "Do you need help, Frank? You seem disoriented." "I'm fine," I said quietly, just trying to remember where I put things. Perfect. Let her think I was losing it. Daniel came by that afternoon. He looked guilty, but determined. Dad, this is for the best. You'll see. The facility has great programs, activities. Other people your age? I put my hand on his shoulder. I know you think you're helping, son. I don't blame you. His eyes got wet. I love you, Dad. I love you too. More than you know. That was the truth. Everything I was about to do was to save him from the monster he'd married. Friday morning came. I loaded my car with 3 suitcases, left behind 43 years of memories, watched Victoria measure the windows for new curtains before I'd even pulled out of the driveway. Sophie texted me, "Phase 1 complete?" I texted back, "Phase 1 complete." The assisted living facility was actually nice. Small apartment, private bathroom, communal dining room. I smiled at the staff and unpacked my things like a man resigned to his fate. But that night, I opened my laptop and got to work. Eleanor's investigation was thorough. She'd documented everything, bank statements showing small withdrawals from our accounts over 18 months, always under $500, never enough to trigger alerts. But they added up to nearly $40,000. There were photos too. Victoria meeting with a man in a coffee shop. The same man in 3 different cities over 6 months. Eleanor had identified him. Charles Whitmore, convicted con artist, Victoria's partner in every previous scheme. But here's what Eleanor had discovered that changed everything. Victoria's real name was Vivian Cross. She'd been running these cons for 12 years, but her first victim wasn't some random old man. It was her own father. She'd drained his accounts, had him declared incompetent, and put him in a facility where he died alone 6 months later. Her own father. Eleanor had found the daughter from that first marriage, a woman named Patricia, who'd been searching for Vivian for a decade, who'd watched her father waste away while Vivian spent his money, who had evidence that Vivian had been slowly poisoning him with his own heart medication, giving him double doses until his system couldn't take it anymore. I read that part 3 times. Eleanor's death. Sudden heart attack. She was on blood pressure medication. I called Tom Bradford that night. "Tom, I need you to request Eleanor's medical records, specifically her toxicology report from the autopsy." "Frank, there wasn't an autopsy. Heart attack victims don't usually get them unless there's suspicion of—" "I'm suspicious. I want an exhumation order." Long pause. "That's a serious request. You'd need cause. Evidence." "I have evidence." Eleanor was being poisoned. Same method Victoria used on her first victim. I need proof. If you're right about this, Frank, we're not just talking about fraud anymore. We're talking about murder. I know exactly what we're talking about. Can you do it? I'll file the petition tomorrow, but it'll take weeks, maybe months. Then we better get started. I hung up and opened the next file Eleanor had left me. This one made my hands shake. It was a recording. Audio file dated March 13th, the day before Eleanor died. I clicked play. Eleanor's voice filled my tiny apartment. "Frank, my love, if you're listening to this, I'm gone. But I need you to hear what I heard." There was a click, then Victoria's voice, crystal clear. "No, Charles, we can't move yet. The old lady's still suspicious. She's been following me. I think she hired someone to investigate." "Charles, so take care of it. You've done it before." Victoria, "It's risky. If Frank finds out." Charles, "Frank's a grieving mess. You've been slipping him those pills for 3 months. He can barely remember his own name half the time. Once the wife is gone, he'll be easy." Victoria, "And if he's not?" Charles, "Then we do what we always do. Make him incompetent. Get him committed. Drain the accounts and disappear. We've got $2 million in assets here. Biggest score yet. Don't get cold feet now." Victoria laughing. Cold feet? Please. I just need to handle Eleanor first. Her doctor already thinks her heart's weak. One bad episode and it's over. Natural causes. No investigation. The recording ended. I sat in the dark and cried. Not from grief this time. From rage. Eleanor knew. She knew, and she'd tried to protect me. And they killed her for it. My phone rang. Sophie. Grandpa, something's happening at the house. What do you mean? Victoria's selling stuff. Your tools. Mom's jewelry. She's putting it all online. Dad tried to stop her and they had a huge fight. She told him the money was going toward home improvements, but I saw her bank app when she left her phone on the table. She's transferring money to an account Dad doesn't know about. Take pictures of everything you can. Don't let them catch you. Already on it. Grandpa, there's something else. I heard her on the phone with someone called Charles. They were talking about moving to Florida in 2 months. She said once the competency hearing goes through, they'll have full access and can disappear. My heart raced. Did she say anything about Daniel? Sophie's voice got quiet. She said Daniel was too trusting to be a problem, that he'd believe whatever she told him. I thought I'd been angry before. I was wrong. Sophie, I need you to do something for me. It's important. Anything. Your dad loves you more than anything in this world. When the time comes, I need you to be brave, to show him something that might break his heart. Can you do that? To save him from her? Yes. Good girl. Keep recording everything. Every conversation. Every transaction. Everything. Grandpa, when are we going to stop her? I looked at Eleanor's evidence, spread across my desk. At the recording that proved Victoria killed my wife. At the paper trail showing 12 years of destruction. Soon, sweetheart. Very soon. The next week, the competency hearing was scheduled. Victoria had hired a doctor I'd never met. Dr. Richard Foster. Tom did some digging. Foster had been sanctioned twice for providing false evaluations in exchange for money. He was perfect for what Victoria needed. I showed up to the evaluation playing my part. Confused, forgetful. Couldn't remember what I'd had for breakfast. Mixed up Daniel's birthday. Called Victoria by Eleanor's name twice. Foster took notes with a satisfied smile. Mr. Harrison, do you understand why you're here today? Something about my house? I'm not sure. Do you know what day it is? I pretended to think hard. Thursday? It was Monday. And who is the current president? I named someone from 15 years ago. Foster closed his folder. I'll have my report ready by the end of the week. Victoria walked me to my car. Dropped the act the second we were alone. This is almost over, Frank. Once you're declared incompetent, everything transfers, the house, the accounts, all of it. You played right into my hands. I looked at her with tired eyes. I just want peace, Victoria. I'm too old for fighting. Smart man. Finally. She walked away. I watched her go. Then I pulled out my phone and stopped the recording app. Every word captured, every admission. Tom called that night. Frank, I got the exhumation order approved. Eleanor's body will be examined next week. But there's a problem. What problem? Victoria's lawyer filed an injunction. She's claiming it's emotionally traumatic for Daniel, that you're acting out of paranoia and dementia. The judge is considering it. Can she stop the exhumation? She's trying. The hearing is tomorrow. If the judge sides with her, we lose our best evidence. I hung up and stared at the ceiling. Victoria was always one step ahead, always anticipating, always controlling. But she'd made one critical mistake. She thought I was alone. I called Patricia. Eleanor's phone records had her number, the daughter of Victoria's first victim. Patricia, this is Frank Harrison. I think you know who I am. Her voice was sharp, careful. Eleanor contacted me 6 months ago. Then she died. Suddenly. She was murdered by the same woman who killed your father. Silence. Then, can you prove it? I'm working on it. But I need your help. Everything you have on Vivian Cross, every document, every record. I need it all. I've been waiting 10 years for someone to believe me. I'll send everything tonight. There's one more thing. The exhumation hearing is tomorrow. Victoria's trying to block it. If we lose, I'll be there. I'll testify. That woman destroyed my family. She's not destroying yours, too. The next morning, I sat in a courtroom for the first time in my life. Victoria was there with her lawyer. Daniel sat beside her, looking miserable. Sophie sat with me. The judge reviewed Victoria's motion. Mrs. Harrison claims this exhumation request is baseless and cruel, that it stems from her father-in-law's declining mental state and paranoid delusions. Tom stood. Your Honor, we have evidence suggesting Eleanor Harrison's death was not natural causes, evidence that warrants investigation. What evidence? Tom hesitated. We'd agreed to hold back the recording until we had the autopsy results. Going public too soon would tip Victoria off. That's when Patricia stood up from the gallery. Your Honor, my name is Patricia Wallace. 15 years ago, Vivian Cross, the woman sitting right there using the name Victoria Harrison, killed my father using the exact same method she used on Eleanor Harrison. I have medical records, police reports, everything. The courtroom exploded. Victoria went pale. Daniel turned to stare at her. The judge banged his gavel. Order. Ms. Wallace, approach the bench. Patricia brought forward a file folder thick with documents. The judge reviewed them in silence. His expression darkened with every page. Mrs. Harrison, did you previously use the name Vivian Cross? Victoria's lawyer whispered to her. She straightened her shoulders. I changed my name legally when I got married, Your Honor. It's not a crime to want a fresh start. And the allegations regarding Robert Wallace's death? Completely false. I was investigated and cleared. This is harassment from a daughter who couldn't accept her father's natural death. Patricia's voice rang out clear and strong. You poisoned him with digitalis, slipped it into his heart medication until he went into cardiac arrest. The police couldn't prove it because you cremated him before anyone could run proper tests. You're not making that mistake with Eleanor Harrison. That's why you're fighting this so hard. Victoria stood up, face red. This is insane. Your Honor, I'm being persecuted by conspiracy theorists and a senile old man who can't accept that his wife died of natural causes. The judge looked at me. Mr. Harrison, do you understand the gravity of what you're requesting? I stood up, made my voice steady and clear, dropped the confused old man act completely. Your Honor, my wife suspected Victoria of planning to kill me. She spent a year investigating her. She left me evidence of fraud, forgery, and elder abuse. She recorded conversations proving Victoria planned her murder. And 2 days after scheduling a meeting with police to expose her, my wife died of a sudden heart attack. I'm not paranoid, Your Honor. I'm a widower who wants to know the truth about how my wife died. The judge stared at me. You seem quite lucid for someone declared mentally incompetent by Dr. Foster. I was never incompetent, Your Honor. I was acting, giving Victoria enough rope to hang herself. Victoria's face transformed. The mask came completely off. Pure rage. You bastard! You lying! Her lawyer grabbed her arm. Too late. The judge made his decision. Exhumation order approved. Furthermore, I'm granting a temporary freeze on all Harrison family assets, pending investigation into these fraud allegations. Mrs. Harrison, you're not to leave the state. This hearing is adjourned. Victoria lunged toward me. Bailiffs grabbed her. She screamed at Daniel. Do something! He's destroying us, everything we built. Daniel stood frozen, looking at his wife like he'd never seen her before. Sophie pulled out her phone. Dad, you need to see this. She played the recording from Eleanor's file, Victoria's voice, Charles's voice, planning Eleanor's murder, planning to drain our accounts and run. Daniel's face crumpled. He looked at Victoria, at me, at his daughter. Tell me it's not true, he whispered to Victoria. Tell me they're lying. Victoria's expression shifted one final time. Cold. Calculated. Dead inside. You were always too weak, Daniel. Just like your father. Just like all of them. She turned to leave. Federal agents walked into the courtroom. Vivian Cross, you're under arrest for wire fraud, identity theft, and suspicion of murder in 3 states. They put her in handcuffs. She looked back at me one last time. You won't last a week without them, remember. That's what I told. I smiled. You were right about one thing. I didn't last a week without them. I lasted 4 days. 4 days was all I needed to burn your whole empire down. They took her away. Daniel collapsed into a chair. Sophie wrapped her arms around him. He sobbed into her shoulder. I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. You didn't know, son. She fooled all of us. That's when Tom pulled me aside. His face was grim. Frank, Eleanor's body is being examined tomorrow. But there's something you should know. The medical examiner found evidence of tampering. What kind of tampering? Someone broke into the morgue 3 days after Eleanor died, switched some of the blood samples. We almost didn't catch it. My blood ran cold. Victoria, we don't know yet, but if she did, and if she was smart enough to corrupt the original samples, we might not be able to prove the poisoning. So she might get away with murder. Tom's expression was grave. She might get away with Eleanor's murder, but Patricia's father was cremated. No evidence there either. Victoria's been doing this for 12 years because she's careful. Very careful. I walked outside. Needed air. Needed to think. That's when I saw him. A man watching from across the street. Mid-50s, expensive suit. He caught my eye and smiled. Then he got in a car and drove away. I pulled out my phone, sent the license plate to Tom. His response came back 30 minutes later. That's Charles Whitmore, Victoria's partner. Frank, if he's here, he's not done. Whatever Victoria was planning, he's still out there, and now he knows you're onto them. I stood in the parking lot as the sun set. Victoria was in custody. Eleanor's murder investigation was ongoing. Daniel was devastated but safe. Sophie was a hero. We'd won, except we hadn't, because Charles Whitmore was still free, and I'd just made myself his next target. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. The text message read, "You took everything from her. Now I'm going to take everything from you, starting with your granddaughter. Sweet girl Sophie. Brave, just like her grandmother. It would be a shame if something happened to her." I called Sophie immediately. "Where are you?" "In the parking lot with Dad." "Why?" "Grandpa, what's wrong?" "Get in the car. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone but me or a police officer." "Do it now." "Grandpa, you're scaring me." "Good. Be scared. And be safe." I ran back to the courthouse, found Tom, showed him the message. He went pale. "We need to put Sophie in protective custody, now." But when we got to the parking lot, Daniel's car was empty. The passenger door was open. Sophie's phone was on the ground, and my granddaughter was gone. Sophie's phone screen was cracked. Battery at 12%. The last message she'd sent was to me, "Grandpa, help." 3 minutes ago, my 12-year-old granddaughter was in the hands of a killer, and every second I stood frozen. was a second closer to losing her forever. But what Charles Whitmore didn't know was that Sophie wasn't the only one Eleanor had prepared for this exact moment. My dead wife had seen this coming, and she'd left one final weapon I hadn't found yet. Daniel grabbed my arm. His face was white with terror. "Dad, what's happening? Where's Sophie?" I showed him the text from Charles. He read it, and his knees buckled. Tom caught him. "We need to call the FBI," Tom said. "Child abduction across state lines. We don't have time for protocol." I was already dialing a number Eleanor had written in her notes, a number labeled emergency only, Marcus. Wait, Marcus is banned. Let me use emergency only. Raymond. A deep voice answered on the first ring. "Frank Harrison? Who is this?" "Raymond Price. I worked with Eleanor, private security. She paid me to watch your family if anything happened to her. I've been tracking Sophie's phone since she left the courthouse. She's moving north on Highway 87. Black sedan. I'm 3 cars behind." My heart surged with hope. "Can you stop them?" "Not without risking Sophie. But I won't lose them." Eleanor prepared for this scenario. "Check your email. Password is Sophie's birthday backwards." I opened my email on my phone. There was a draft message from Eleanor. Unsent. Dated March 14th, the day she died. The message read, "Frank, if you're reading this, Victoria made her move and I didn't stop her in time. But I set a trap. Charles Whitmore has a warrant in Nevada for securities fraud. The FBI has been looking for him for 6 years. I've been feeding them information about his location through Raymond. The moment Charles surfaces to finish the job, Raymond will notify the feds. They'll come for him hard and fast. Keep him talking. Keep him distracted. Raymond will get Sophie out. Trust me one last time. I love you. E." Attached was a FBI case file number and an agent's direct line. I called it. "Agent Lisa Brennan." "Agent Brennan, my name is Frank Harrison. Eleanor Harrison was working with you on the Charles Whitmore case." Pause. "Mr. Harrison, I'm sorry for your loss. Your wife was a brave woman. How can I help you?" "Whitmore just kidnapped my granddaughter. I have a tracker on his vehicle. He's moving north on Highway 87. Can you help me? Give me the tracker information. We've been waiting 6 years for this. Don't worry, Mr. Harrison. We'll get your granddaughter back." I sent her Raymond's contact information. Then I did the hardest thing I've ever done. I waited. Daniel paced the parking lot like a caged animal. "We should go after them. We should trust your mother," I said quietly. "She knew this would happen. She planned for it." "How? How could she know?" I showed him Eleanor's email. He read it with tears streaming down his face. "She was protecting us even after she died." "She was protecting you most of all, son." My phone rang. "Charles Whitmore," I answered. Put it on speaker. "Mr. Harrison, you cost me $2 million and the best partner I've ever had. So here's how this works. You're going to transfer everything you own into an account I'm about to send you. Every penny. Or I'm going to hurt your granddaughter in ways that will haunt you forever." I kept my voice steady. "The accounts are frozen. Court order. I couldn't access them if I wanted to." "Then unfreeze them. You've got 2 hours. Tick-tock." He hung up. Tom grabbed my shoulder. "Frank, even if you could access the accounts, you can't give him the money." "I know. But I can keep him on the hook while the FBI closes in." What I didn't say was this. I would give Charles every penny if it meant getting Sophie back safe. The money meant nothing. She meant everything. My phone buzzed. "Agent Brennan." "Mr. Harrison, we have eyes on the vehicle. 4 FBI units converging. We're going to box him in on a rural stretch in 15 minutes. But we need him distracted. Can you call him back? Keep him talking?" "Yes." I called Charles. He answered immediately. "That was fast. You ready to cooperate?" "I need proof Sophie's alive. I'm not transferring anything until I know she's okay." I heard shuffling, then Sophie's voice, small and scared but trying to be brave. "Grandpa?" "I'm here, sweetheart. Are you hurt?" "No, I'm okay. Don't give him anything. Grandma wouldn't want—" The phone was ripped away. Charles's voice came back. "The little brat's got spirit, just like Eleanor. You know what happened to Eleanor, don't you, Frank?" My blood boiled. "You killed her. Victoria killed her. I just provided the digitalis. Easy to get us if you know the right people. Tasteless, odorless. Mix it into blood pressure medication and boom, heart attack. No autopsy because why would there be? Perfect crime." He was confessing. The call was being recorded. Agent Brennan was hearing every word. "Why?" I asked. "Why target my family?" "Because you were rich and vulnerable. Eleanor was smart, though. Too smart. She figured it out. Started digging. We had to accelerate the timeline. Kill her before she could expose us. Then isolate you. Make you incompetent. Take everything and disappear. Would have worked, too, if you hadn't been playing possum." "You're never getting away with this." Charles laughed. "I've gotten away with it for 12 years. 6 families. $23 million. The system doesn't care about old people, if we're frank. Nobody investigates. Nobody questions. Elderly people die every day. This is my retirement fund, and you're going to make one final contribution." In the background, I heard sirens. Charles heard them too. "What did you do?" "I didn't do anything. My wife did. 6 months ago. She's been hunting you from beyond the grave." The line went dead. Agent Brennan called 60 seconds later. "We have him. Suspect in custody. Sophie is safe. Repeat, Sophie is safe. She's asking for you." I collapsed against the car. Daniel caught me. We held each other and cried. They brought Sophie to the local FBI field office. She ran into my arms. I held her so tight I thought I might break her. "I knew you'd find me, Grandpa. I knew Grandma had a plan. Your grandmother thought of everything." But she hadn't thought of everything. 2 weeks later, the medical examiner's report came back. Eleanor's body showed traces of digitalis poisoning, enough to cause cardiac arrest. Combined with Charles's recorded confession, the DA charged both him and Victoria with first-degree murder. Victoria tried to make a deal, offered to testify against Charles in exchange for a lighter sentence. The DA told her where she could put her deal. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Patricia testified about her father. I testified about Eleanor. Sophie testified about the recordings. Daniel testified about the forgeries and the stolen money. The jury convicted Victoria on all counts in 45 minutes. Charles got life without parole. Victoria got life without parole. We'd won. Except we hadn't, because the night after the verdict, I went home to the house I'd built 43 years ago, the house Victoria had tried to steal, the house that now felt empty and cold without Eleanor. Daniel and Sophie were there. We ordered pizza, tried to celebrate, tried to feel victorious. But all I felt was tired. Daniel pulled me aside later that night. "Dad, I need to say something." "You don't have to apologize again, son. You were manipulated by a professional." "It's not that." His voice cracked. "I chose her over you, when you needed me most, when Mom had just died. I believed Victoria, instead of trusting my own father. I signed those papers. I scheduled that competency hearing. I almost destroyed everything Mom and you built together." I put my hands on his shoulders. "You loved your wife. You wanted to help your father. There's no shame in that. How can you forgive me? Because you're my son, and because your mother loved you enough to die protecting you from the truth. The least I can do is love you enough to forgive you for not seeing it. He cried then, really cried. And I held him like I did when he was a boy. But that wasn't even the hardest part. The hardest part came a month later, when I found Eleanor's final letter. The real final letter, hidden in a book she knew I'd eventually read. Her favorite novel. The one she'd made me promise to finish after she was gone. The letter was dated March 13th, the day before she died. The day she recorded Victoria's confession. My dearest Frank, by now you know the truth about Victoria. You've stopped her. You've protected Daniel. I'm so proud of you. But I need to confess something. Something I've carried alone because I couldn't burden you with it while I was alive. I've known about Victoria for 18 months, since 2 weeks after Daniel introduced her to us. I recognized her immediately from a news article I'd read 5 years ago about Robert Wallace's death. Patricia reached out to media, tried to get justice. Nobody listened. I should have told Daniel immediately, should have shown him the evidence, should have stopped the wedding. But I didn't. I was selfish, Frank. I wanted our son to be happy. I wanted grandchildren. I wanted to believe I was wrong about her. So I stayed quiet for 6 months, watched her manipulate our son, watched her begin isolating him from his friends, watched her slowly take control. By the time I started investigating properly, she was already too embedded. Daniel loved her, defended her. When I tried to show him evidence, he accused me of being jealous and controlling. So I changed tactics, gathered irrefutable proof, built a legal case. Planned to go to the police, but I waited too long, and she caught on. And now I'm dying for my hesitation. If I'd acted when I first knew, I'd still be alive. We'd be celebrating our 50th anniversary next year. Sophie would still have both her grandparents. I'm writing this because you need to know. My death is partly my own fault. I saw the danger and I chose hope over action. I chose wanting my son to be happy over keeping him safe. Don't make my mistake, Frank. When you see danger, act immediately. Don't wait. Don't hope it will resolve itself. And please, when this is over, tell Daniel the truth. Tell him I knew. Tell him I'm sorry I didn't protect him sooner. I love you both more than words can express. Eleanor. I read that letter 5 times, then I burned it. Some truths are too heavy to share. Daniel didn't need to know his mother had known about Victoria for 18 months. Didn't need to carry the weight of her guilt. Didn't need to wonder if she'd still be alive if she'd acted sooner. Eleanor's secret died with her letter in my fireplace. I kept one secret too. 3 days after the trial ended, I received a medical diagnosis. Stage 4. Pancreatic cancer. Inoperable. The doctor said I had 6 months, maybe 8. I didn't tell Daniel, didn't tell Sophie. They'd been through enough. Instead, I spent my remaining time making sure they were protected. Updated my will properly this time, set up trusts, made sure Daniel and Sophie would be financially secure forever. I visited Eleanor's grave every Sunday. Told her about the trial, about Charles and Victoria rotting in prison, about Sophie's bravery, about Daniel slowly healing. And I thanked her for fighting for our family even when it cost her everything, for seeing the danger I'd been too blind to see, for loving us enough to die protecting us. 6 months later, almost to the day, I sat on my porch watching the sunset. Daniel and Sophie were inside making dinner. I could hear them laughing. Sophie was telling some story about school. Daniel was actually laughing, really laughing. For the first time since the trial. That's when I knew Eleanor and I had won. Not because we'd destroyed Victoria's empire. Not because we'd gotten justice. Not because we'd saved the money or the house. We'd won because our son was healing. Our granddaughter was safe. Our family was whole again. Victoria had said I wouldn't last a week without them. She was wrong. I lasted 8 months, long enough to see justice served. Long enough to watch Daniel smile again, long enough to know Sophie would grow up strong and brave like her grandmother. Long enough to finish what Eleanor started. I closed my eyes. The pain was getting worse, but I didn't care. I could hear Eleanor's voice on the wind. "Well done, my love. Well done." I whispered back, "See you soon, Eleanor." And for the first time in 8 months, I felt peace. Thanks for listening to this story. If it touched your heart, please leave a like and subscribe. Have you experienced something similar? Share your story in the comments below.